Today I am joined by a brother-sister pair here on Alive, Carla Lancaster Savage and her brother Tony Savage. Now, that name might sound familiar to a lot of you since Tony Savage, if you know anything about football, since Tony played on the San Francisco Chargers, San Diego. Oh my God, I can't make that mistake with Tony. The San Diego Chargers. And interestingly, you guys might think that they're with us today because it was Carla that had breast cancer. But surprise, surprise, and no one was surprised more than Tony, it's actually Tony that was affected by breast cancer, and little sister Carla that was there to support him. And they are both, I should say, Ford Motor Company Warriors in Pink Models of Courage, which is for 2015. So we're happy to have you both here with us today.
Thank you. It's good
Tony, let me start. Let me go that back, Tony, because if I'm correct, Tony, you actually felt the lump yourself. Am I right?
Yes, I felt it. As soon as I knew, that it was there. I thought that eventually it would go away. It didn't go away, and I waited for a while. At that time, I didn't have health insurance, so I was just, hoping that it was going to go away, and I would go about my business.
So, Tony, for you, that's kind of like a double whammy because, first of all, I'm a guy, so I shouldn't have to care about some kind of a lump in my chest. And number two, I don't have health insurance right now. So those are two things that, keep people from going and getting checked. But it was really getting in a car accident, right, that sent you to the doctor when you were, what was it, like, oh, by the way, while you're checking me over, check that thing over here?
That's exactly what happened. I was rear-ended on the freeway, and the cops were out, and the ambulance was out. They asked me if I wanted to ride to the hospital. I denied it, so I went in to see my primary care physician, and just to make sure everything was all right. And like you said, I just said, you know what, check this lump for me, and let me know what you think. So he felt it, referred me to get a mammogram, and then from there the journey began.
So let me just picture this, Tony Savage, of you sitting in that waiting room with all of those women in their pink robes waiting for a mammogram. Like, what was that like?
It was definitely awkward. I wasn't obviously comfortable being there in the first place because of what was, going on with me. But then to go into this room and have the nurse take my breast and tissue and put it in this, clamp to look at everything, that was not comfortable at all.
Yeah, we know about that, Tony. You don't have to tell us about that. So now, now they do this, they send you for the biopsy, and now you get the news that you have breast cancer. I first just want to know about your reaction, your personal reaction.
I'm not that much of an emotional person. I don't wear my emotions on my sleeves, but when I got that news, I got really, really upset. And my wife wasn't with me. She was with her sister. We were planning our wedding. So she was running around with her sister. I wasn't in any mood to drive. So I called her. She didn't know what was wrong.
And what did you say?
I said, just come pick me up. I was upset. I didn't tell her over the phone. I just said, you just have to come get me right now. So her sister dropped her off, and then that's when it all hit me, and we sat around and tried to figure everything out.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that moment. I remember calling my husband and saying, nothing. Don't get like too worried yet. But I just, did not have a good ultrasound today when I went for my mammogram ultrasound. And then you called your sister. And interestingly, your sister, this was like her line of work. She was a scientist, a researcher.
Yeah, after I sat down and tried to take everything in. I called my family and I told Carla about it. And like I said, I'm a kind of a private person, so I didn't want to really get them all upset and worried until I found out. So, my next step was to get a biopsy. So, I was still wondering what this was. Could it be benign? So I kind of slowly but surely told them what was going on. And once they found out, my sister started investigating and doing some research about it.
All right, Carla. This is your big brother, your protector, the almighty football player. What was that like for you?
Gosh, Joan, the first thing probably like everybody else, why him? And how does this happen? And, I have the human response first. I know how cancer works. I understand that it happens in men. I had my own battery of questions, but just as a family member, as his little sister, my first thoughts are, oh my gosh, this is so rare. How does it even happen to our family that you would have breast cancer? And it's not in any of our immediate family members, our first cousins. No one has really had it. And so just thinking about the odds of this and the odds of him getting this disease just stunned me for a while. And then I kind of went into asking the more clinical appropriate questions. So what do they say? How many lumps? Or, just trying to get a little bit more information from him. As he mentioned, he's pretty private. So I am not shy when it comes to asking questions. So asking him about what was going on, what stage they found it, what the treatment was, and all that I didn't know, trying to figure out who I could leverage in my network of peers to run it by them. I'm always a fan of getting a second opinion, and he seemed to be very confident in his own doctors and their guidance. At the same time, I still kind of did my own research and thought about what else could we be doing, but just a lot of questions and just thinking, how does this happen, even though I know that it happened. So just more shell-shocked than anything.
And I think, quite frankly, that's typical of even, most women. I mean, when you get this news and there's just this like a gazillion questions that you want to ask. But while all this is going on, Tony, all the questions are being asked, you've now let the family in on it. I want to know what happens next because you're like the big mighty football player, and now, it goes from that little circle of family out to the next circle of friends, like the guys. How'd you deal with that?
I slowly but surely told a very select few friends that what was going on after I was diagnosed, and actually after my mastectomy. I started sharing with my business partner and another real close friend about what was up, and I expressed to them just to keep that between us. So they were shocked. I mean, they couldn't believe it. I had a great support group. My wife was with me by my side the entire time, and because I don't, put my news and my business out there for everyone to see, I knew that the select people that I did tell would be there for me. So that's what made me and helped me get through it. Is my wife was by my side the entire way, and then just knowing that if I ever needed anything, the friends that I did tell would be there for me.
Well, thinking of your treatment, I mean, you went through a double mastectomy, and, women out there that are going to be watching this, many of them have gone through that, so they know what you're talking about there. But you also went through, I think, 6 rounds of chemo, and I've read where you said that you had endured a lot of pain over your career as a football player, but this one really kind of knocked you for a loop, right?
Yeah, and actually, I just had a single mastectomy. It's on my left side. But yeah, I mean, I played organized sports from high school all the way through college and into the pros, and I got dinged up and hurt, but it was nothing like recovering from chemo over and over and over again. The difference in the injuries that I had when I was playing compared to this, there's no comparison. It's something that people don't want to experience, and the people that do have to experience it, it's a definite challenge and something that you need help, you need people around you to get through on a weekly basis. I was doing it 6 treatments every 3 weeks. So it came to a point in time where I would actually get sick even before I started my treatments, because it was just, Pavlov's dog. You know what's getting ready to come, and your body starts to react to it.
Yeah, it really does kick you in the butt, that chemo. It really does. And even after it, I mean, even a couple of years later now, I'll bet you're still feeling some of the after effects, right?
I still have effects from it. I have neuropathy in my toes. So I have all this numbness and pain in my toes, and that's pretty much the only side effect from it. But that's all I need. It's uncomfortable. My feet they swell up, and they hurt. It comes and goes, the pain in my toes. But yeah, that is a direct result of the chemo.
Yeah, and a lot of people deal with that after chemotherapy. Carla, this really had a profound effect on you. I mean, I think it really focused you in your career path. Like, you ended up really focusing in on directly on breast cancer. And don't you now work with Dr. Susan Love organization?
Not anymore. I did have the pleasure of working with Dr. Susan Love, and what a great experience that was. I learned so much from her, and so much more about breast cancer, and a lot more on the patient side of things. She's got a number of great programs that really allowed me to be front and center with everyday experiences, not just those of my brothers, but also women that are all around the world that follow her, and different and similar side effects and life experiences some of the patients were going through, which helped me on the research side, and now on the development side, to kind of pull in a lot more of what actually happened. So I've worked a long time in drug discovery and development, and we are kind of on the early side of things. So by the time medicines get to the patients, we're so far removed from it. So it was a really nice way of bridging real life experiences with what's going on with breast patients, aside with the research experience that I've gained over the years.
Well, I can tell you that as a patient, we're all depending on you guys, you researchers, to.
We're working hard. We're working hard.
I know you are. I know you are. And you know what, Tony? I know you've said today how much you're a private guy and everything, and therefore I have to like doubly commend you for becoming one of the models, encourage you and Carla, because all of the models encourage for Ford, Warrior in Pink, help to educate others and help to get the word out. And Tony, it is so important for other men for you to like put yourself out there just to say, hey guys, we have breast tissue too, and it can happen to you. And by never thinking that it can happen to you, could end up killing you, because you feel something and you just think, oh, well, it can't be breast cancer.
Yeah, you're right. I'm getting better at sharing my story. This is a perfect example being on your show. But yeah, when I do speak about it, it's definitely to get the men's attention about their chances of getting them. It may be small, but it's still a chance for them to get breast cancer. And if they do feel anything that is not something out of the norm, they need to go see their doctor. And don't be ashamed. Take your ego out of this. It's about your life. So that's when I do speak at various little events, and if I'm comfortable doing it, that's the message that I want to give to men, because we don't get it that often, but it definitely can affect you, and you need to be proactive. Even if you don't have insurance, you can go in, see a doctor.
That's right.
And they'll work with you on the payments. Just get in there, get checked, and you will be very, very fortunate if you do that.
Tony, such an important message, such an important message. I'm so appreciative that you will step out here and talk about it like this. And Carl, I want to remind you, you might be a guy, but he's your first degree relative. And I don't have to tell you as a researcher, young lady, that you now have to be really vigilant.
I'm already on the vigilance plan.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I commend you and I congratulate you both for being Warriors in Pink, models of courage for 2015. You've shown us your courage simply by being with us and talking about this. And Tony, to just show every guy out there, you know, even a big, mighty, ferocious football player can end up, you know, having to battle this disease as well, and that they have to be really aware of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, my pleasure. Carla, thank you too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.